ours is 3.5 years old, so the prices may have changed, and some of the suppliers may have changed.
Okay.
But I think it was like $600 for the bed.
Okay.
So some of the changes, they have a different brand microwave, and one of their options now, which wasn't available when we got ours, is a convection oven.
Oh.
Which means you can have both microwave and baking, which we can't do.
Okay.
If we were to get ours now, I probably would. They have a different brand fridge now, which is about 10 or 15% larger in terms of interior volume than this model. It has a freezer. Try and keep things so that nothing, mildew, and gotta keep the doors propped open.
Yeah, it's good.
The newer version has a larger sink in cross section and in depth than ours. And so the drawers here are really nice. They're self-closing drawers.
That is nice.
And there's this is a ton of room, whereas my sister's Casita had only had this much, much less. And there's a lot of counter space. So, but if you have with a larger sink, this drawer is really just a little tiny thing.
Okay.
That's one difference.
Oh, you're filling this out. That's pretty neat.
Well, we're working at it. So this is one of the nice things is this pantry cabinet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of storage space in there.
Okay.
In terms of the kitchen, this is a 2-burner propane stove. I think they have a different model than this one. And some people have it this way. Some people put it in transverse with their rationale. They get more counter space here. I'd rather more there. Some people also like the idea of using a splash shield in case you're cooking in grease. We do most of our cooking outside, but when we have cooked inside with something, we have a spare towel we lay out here.
Oh, okay.
So that for us, that has worked quite well. Change the lights here. I find that this is a much nicer way to feel in the evening. And the lighting in here is wonderful. There are these lights underneath. There are reading lights. It's a number of places. When we got ours, I believe these were an option. I think they're standard now. They also have what they call courtesy lights. There's one here,
help you see,
one there, and one there. There's also courtesy lights outside and big floodlights.
Okay.
We can take a look.
And which version is this? Which model?
This is the Elite 2.
Elite 2?
The larger one, and the twin bed.
Okay.
And the smaller one has a single axle, and it loses about this much space. So this thing is completely gone. This much is gone from here.
Okay.
And they have a smaller dinette than the King, and it converts to a queen bed being transverse.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the fit and finish here I really like. It's really well built. Whereas a lot of trailers, like when we looked at Escapes, they have cabinets here that are made out of wood or plywood or presswood, and they're screwed on to the frame, which is fiberglass. But the vibration, eventually things come loose when you're driving. This is a double hull construction. So there's one hull on top, and this is the interior hull. So this is the outside hull, and then this is the inner hull. So all of these shelving things are part of the hull. They're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Between the hulls, back here is electric, which I can get to if I want to, is electrical all the way around. So I can add some stuff, and I've done some of that.
Okay.
And then between the hulls below is a lot of the plumbing. So all of the plumbing is between the hulls. Unlike some of them, like my sister Casita, where the plumbing's hanging out below. You hit a rock and
you have problems.
Something.
Yeah.
So we've been very happy with the construction and the layout and a lot of details that they've put into it.
Yeah, that's neat.
So there are cabinets, all the way around. Another one in back. The nightstand here is just very useful storage of stuff. And then this is an option which wasn't an option we had, which is an access to the storage area below, which is sometimes called the basement. And so this is an option. They have an access door. We like to keep extra shoes down there, and that makes them more accessible. And that's the back end of the storage area that we'll see in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So there are access panels underneath the bed. One of them leads to the basement area, which we'll get to. This one gets to some electrical. There's one under here that gets to some electrical, and this one gets to some of the plumbing stuff, which occasionally you have to get to.
Okay.
We have a TV there, which is, most of the electrical is 12 volt, which means it can run off the batteries.
Yeah.
Almost everything in the trailer runs off 12 volts. Like, there are powered jacks for leveling. They run off 12 volt. They use more power than a TV or radio.
Right.
The microwave does not. You need to have either higher power. Actually, well, the microwave will run off the battery if you buy an option for an inverter, and we have that. If you're camping someplace, boondocking, you turn on the inverter and this thing will run off of the batteries. We got the upgrade to the AGM batteries. They now have a lithium package, which is a ton of money.
How much is it? How much is it? Do you know?
I think $8,000 or $9,000.
Wow.
But that includes lithium batteries and the solar panels and some other stuff. So they made a package.
I see.
But we got the solar panels, and we've done a lot of camping, and they work very well. Except when you're camped in a rainforest, and then that time.
Have you been camped in a rainforest?
We were in the Olympic Peninsula, National Park.
I've been there. Yeah.
And this was one of our first long trip with the trailer. We went with my sister and her casita, and after 5 days, we were running my monitor, the battery. I learned more on how to better handle my batteries since then.
Okay.
So we have, like I said, a TV. This is either a radio or a CD player, a DVD player. It connects to the TV. You can play DVDs. And there are 2 speakers in back and 2 speakers in front. It sounds pretty nice.
Yeah.
Mostly what we end up using the sound system for is streaming from our phone, either podcasts or music. And that's really nice. We're doing the dishes, and we always listen to music or something.
Okay.
And the Bluetooth transfer, it's really easy. It works well. The TV we don't watch much. Occasionally we have something on my iPad and we stream it to the TV.
That's what I would do too.
So I put an Apple TV onto there, and that way I can stream it. You can see how I mounted it on the back end of the TV. And that thing comes down. There's a little latch to let it down.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of intelligent things here. This is the window shades. So this is a nighttime way, and it's down, and you can't see in at all. This is a daytime, where in daytime we could see out pretty well, but people can't see in. At night, if you have lights on, people could see in. So we typically just change it at night, depending on whether we're changing clothes or whatever we're doing.
Right.
So let me see what else here matters in the back. Okay, switches here. One of the things we have here, which is a brilliant design. So if you had a pop-up before,
I've used my brother's. Yeah.
Okay, so they have tanks, water tanks.
Right.
Here there are 3 tanks. There's a freshwater, gray water, and a black water tank. The fresh water holds 30 gallons or so. But if you've got a water source, you just hook it up, and then you've got unlimited water.
Yeah.
But your your gray water only holds 30 gallons, so you have to figure out where you're going to offload and deal with those. But the thing where this trailer is truly unique is there are 2 water inlets we'll see in a minute. And one of them is if you're hooked up to a place that has water, and another one's if you're going to fill up the tanks, and it just fills the tank until it overflows. There's a third one which they originally designed as a winterizing port. So in winter you've got to get rid of the water. What a lot of people do is they pump antifreeze through. But underneath here is a thing here, and I can reach the pump valves, and then I can change the pump valve settings, and I can show you here on what it means changing the positions of these valves.
Okay.
And there are a couple different settings, one of which is if you want to pump antifreeze through everything, you change the valves, connect that thing, and put a bucket there with antifreeze, and it does it. I don't do that. Instead, what I have is an air compressor, and I blow all the water out. But what that other port can be done with a different setup there is it's called the boondocking setting. I can get a 5-gallon jug of water and put it out there, put a little hose into it, turn on the water pump, and it will pump water into the tank. I have 3 5-gallon tanks, and now I've got 3 5-gallon jugs. I've pumped 15 gallons into the tank. If I refill them again, I have a full 30 gallons. So not most trailers, you got to lift something to refill the water.
Oh, okay.
The water is very heavy.
Yeah.
There is a thing here called the Max fan, which has a remote. It also has buttons there. And so it opens up. It can be open during the rain, and somehow the rain doesn't come in. We've had it open. It's adjustable by speed. It can also be set up with a thermostat here. If it gets above 84 degrees, it'll automatically open up. We've done that a few times. And it's, like I say, adjustable speed. Right now it is on 70, and I could lower it to 50.
Yeah, I can feel that.
It's quieter.
Yeah.
This is the air conditioner, which is quite loud. And it
Do you mind if I sit here?
Huh?
Do you mind if I sit here?
Sure, go ahead. Mm-hmm. And it's quite loud, but if it's really, really hot outside and you have electricity, you can't run this off of the batteries, but you could run it off a generator if you have a big enough generator, or you have a generator and the quick start option, which is a capacitor that allows it to run on a 2,000 watt generator.
Okay.
And we have not done that, but we've been places. We tend not to camp where it's real hot, but we've had places where. So the questions are: do you have electricity or not? Do you have complete water or not? And those change the way that you do things, and we do a mixture of both.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's move forward. We have some other areas here. This is where I store some stuff. You know, there's a couple ones and all that one needs to get at down there. Let's see the bathroom here.
How do you hang these?
There are things called command strips. If you're not
yeah,
familiar.
I know.
So those are command strip picture hangers.
Okay.
And we've got command strip hooks all over the place here.
Yeah.
For stuff, and they work really well on fiberglass. The trick is you got to use some alcohol, isopropyl, wipe it off first, let it dry, and then everything
Stays. Okay.
So this is the bath, and this is a wet bath, which means if you use the shower, the whole bathroom takes a bath. But so first of all,
where is the shower? I don't even see it.
I'll show you here.
Okay.
This.
Oh, that's
So
sink.
when we first
There's a
got
shower.
it, we did this, and what happens is water gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And what I learned fairly quickly is what I do is to get the water on, adjust it. It's either got a flow or a spray setting. Put it on spray. Wet myself down, turn it off, soap up, and then go through the rinse. And I use fairly little water, and usually you're concerned how much water you're using and how much is going into the gray tank, so you want to be quick. If you do it with this thing, not much water gets everywhere. And so what I can usually do is use the squeegee and get most of it off, and either just let it evaporate or use one spare quick dry towel to get the rest.
Okay.
Now for
That's the drain there.
The drain is in the corner. Now I can pull this up.
You don't have to.
This is a thing which we purchased from a company, and I like it a whole lot better.
The wood cover?
Hmm?
The wood cover you purchased?
The wood cover, yeah. It looks nicer, it feels nicer, and then, if you've got a wet floor, people, or had been wet, this thing works just really well. If you're really tall, this will take some of your space away.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But for me, it's definitely okay.
Not a deal breaker.
The other things with the bath, there is a fan here, either for a shower or if you're making aromas that you want to get rid of. So,
okay.
And that, again, runs on 12 volt. Right now, everything that's turned on is running on the 12 volt. We have the standard toilet. Now they offer as an option something called a composting toilet, which people who have them absolutely love them. when I described how they work to my wife, she said, "No way would I ever want them." what
Yeah.
What's critical with those? So you're familiar with them.
Vaguely.
But the thing, so the poop goes into a thing, and you have some like peat moss stuff in there, and you turn a crank every time, and it can go for you for 2, 3, 4 weeks without having to replace the peat moss. The urine connects into a container, and apparently with 2 people it fills up every 3 days, so you've got to find some place to dump that anyway.
Okay.
But the main problem to me, first of all, it's much higher off the ground, which
Yeah.
some people find uncomfortable. There's a fan unit that has to be connected as part of, I think, keeping it aerobic in the peat, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the other thing is, which to me is for me is the deal breaker, is if you're sitting down to use the toilet to poop, you can't pee. You can't let pee go into the. There's a valve that
The
opens.
compost. Yeah.
You've got to keep it dry. Then you've got to close that if you want to urinate, and then can only urinate sitting down, and it goes then into the other container.
Okay.
So I don't want to, but a lot of people really like them. If you
Okay.
be out for a longer period of
I
time.
think it's funny it has the exit there. Like you'd forget where the door is.
Oh, I think that's the back one's labeled the emergency exit. If I open up the blinds, and that one actually opens out so you could get out. If I lift
okay.
up the blinds, so that's a safe. That's an emergency exit back there.
Okay.
And fire extinguisher here. The closet has a fair bit of space. If you look,
That's
it
pretty
goes
spacious.
way back. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that different people organize in different ways to store.
Okay.
And we hang stuff. We're trying to optimize our use of space. There are a lot of little things that they've learned from people. Like, I guess people bang their heads there. So they put that on and they matched it with the cushions that we chose our fabric and they matched those.
Okay.
There are, like I say, a lot of little things. One of the things is, I mentioned lighting. I mean, one of the things that there is, sorry,
Very fun.
is the lights in the cabinets.
That's nice. Yeah.
And we have mirrored, which was when available. They no longer have the mirrored. Now I believe it's black or frosted.
Why?
Who knows? I don't know.
There.
I like the mirrored.
Yeah, it looks good.
But some people like the frosted and like having the lights on and having the glow that it creates. And I'm certain there are pictures
I
on
see.
the web of what that looks like.
Okay.
For us, it's just for looking for things, which sometimes can be very useful.
I see.
I mean, there's a light in the closet that's good quality. One of the things where some of the switches are 3-way switches, which is intelligent. The one that is the most intelligent, if you are camped without a water supply, you're using your tank, and you have to turn on the water pump, and it turns on and it cycles periodically.
Did you want this open?
Yeah, it's probably okay now that it's fully dry, but this is my habit. There. And if we turn this on, then we can get water. When we're done, we turn it off. But sometimes what happens, if you notice there's a green light there, sometimes when we've been out driving, going to a destination, we stop and have lunch someplace, but there's no toilet there, so we come inside to use the toilet. And then when we get past and we want to wash our hands, there's no water pressure. Well, there's another switch underneath here. If you look back, the green light, it's a 3-way switch. So they both are connected, so I can turn it on at either place.
That's nice.
So if somebody said you should have a switch in here, I'm guessing. And they put that in. Okay.
I took the feedback.
The bath. Drawers. Okay. So we've been really happy with the layout, the size. There are bigger ones, all kinds of different things that are bigger.
Yeah.
For us, this was right size. So you'll be camping by yourself?
Does this this looks like this turns into a bed?
Yes, but it's a bed only suitable really for a small child, I think. I mean,
Okay.
it's not that long.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Other things on the inside.
These dome lights.
So they're all LED lights. So that's the main set of lights, which I find just to be too bright. When once we get in, I like to put on these more indirect lights, which I think just feel to me nicer.
Okay.
But everybody's got their own taste.
Yes, indeed.
Anything else? Oh, I know several other options that matter. Some people. We really like getting the Wi-Fi amplifier and the cellular amplifier. They have different jobs, but they work together. They can work together. The cellular amplifier is an antenna on the roof, which is then wired to this antenna. So if I have a cell phone that is within 18 to 30 inches of this, it can get a complete boost in terms of its Wi-Fi, if it's cellular signal. Now, if I just walk in and won't use what the manufacturer says, you want to do is put it in airplane mode and take it off. And that way it lets go of the tower it was connected to very poorly, and now it's connected to this one, and you get a bar to 2 increase.
Okay.
Which is useful.
That is.
But the other thing which we really like is the Wi-Fi amplifier, which has one router in here and a second router on the back end on the roof. And you can connect either one of them when it's on. But the reasons we like it are, one is with my device, when I turn it on, it will connect to there and it remembers the password. I can use my phone or anything else to connect to the router and say, okay, connect to the campground Wi-Fi or the truck stop Wi-Fi, and it can even be a mile away. And then all my devices get connected to that.
Okay.
But what we mostly do is we have a jetpack or a MiFi that we put here so it's close to the antenna, and so it connects via the cellular signal, and then I ran a cable from here into the router so it's hardwired, and it's just dragged around the window. It comes, I took it out through this little grommet they had for this antenna. I posted how to do this on the forum website.
Okay.
Details on how I did it. And so that's mostly what we do. And for us, we like reading the newspaper in the morning. We like, so for us having good connectivity we've camped when we were at Kodachrome Basin. It's a wonderful state park, but there's no cellular signal at all. So there's no Wi-Fi, there's no nothing.
Okay.
So it is. All right. I think that's most of what matters on the inside.
You want to turn these lights off?
Sorry?
You want to turn these lights off?
I'll come back and get them in a second. So the frame, if you want to move in front and look underneath, the frame is all aluminum. The welding they do is just really, really spectacular. My brother-in-law is a welder, and he's very impressed with the way they do it.
Okay.
The stairs, they make them, and they're extremely robust. They fold up and fold into here, and they're really well built. This is an option called the storage basket. When we purchased ours, they called it a generator basket.
Oh, yeah?
And at the time, we knew we were getting solar, and we didn't think we wanted a generator, so we didn't get this.
Okay.
We later got it, and we don't use it to carry a generator. Here's where I carry 3 5-gallon jugs of water, and I also carry a 12-gallon gray water tote, where I can fill it up with 8 or 9 gallons of gray water, and then with wheels take it over to a place to dump it.
Oh, I see.
Having this space, or sometimes I put a barbecue in it. So this is one of the electric jacks. There's one here, and there are 2 in the back, and the switches to control them here.
Okay.
So here are the propane tanks. They come with 20 pound. We got the option of 30 pound larger. It lasts a long, long time.
Oh, okay, good.
They allow you to choose whatever colors you want. Stripes. So these are big floodlight overheads. Try them.
Oh, and the awning is like automatic, right?
Now, ours is a Fiamma, and they now switch to, I think it's Dometic, but I could be wrong. The standard one is a hand crank like this one. You can buy an option of the power one. If I had to do over again, I think I would get that.
And it if there's wind, it will automatically retract.
Yes.
Yeah.
They also have you the option, you could get one on the far side, an additional, and that seems like a lot of money. So the 2 lights that I wanted to show you here are these 2 here. These are really powerful floodlights, which we don't use much. there are here, let me see them there, 1, 2, and one further back, what they call the outside courtesy lights. We use that a lot if we're going someplace in the evening on foot, which we often do close to dark. We come back, there's a little bit of light.
Kind
We
of
can
nice,
find
yeah.
our way, and it doesn't disturb our neighbors as much as that one does.
Okay.
If we're sitting outside, we want to do something, we can use those lights. And there's another set of these lights on. One of the other options we got was the rear camera mounted on the back. And we really like that.
Can we see that?
Sure. And there's a little monitor then that is connected in the, we plug in the cigarette lighter in the tow vehicle, and then we can see what's behind us. The people initially said you need it to back into the sights or back into things. It helps. Mostly it's another person that matters.
Yeah.
But where this thing, to me, on the highway, it's much better view than the side view mirrors of what's not only behind you, but if you're passing somebody when you've moved far enough to move over, this is much better. Much better than the side mirrors.
Okay.
So the tires, I think they may have a different brand of tires, but they're real truck tires. Whereas a lot of RVs have trailer tires, which are not nearly as robust as truck tires.
Okay, good to know.
And again, this is 2 axles, and from what I've learned after we got the 2 axles gives you a much bigger margin of safety than 1 axle. If you have 1 tire go out, you've got something.
It's not over for you.
One of the options we got, this is called the Truma AquaGo, which is instead of the standard 6-gallon water heater. It heats up 6 gallons. It's enough for 2 very quick showers or some dishes or whatever. Then you have to wait for it to heat up again. This thing is a continuous flow water heater. And we've been happy with that choice. Everything, the options all add up. So this was that port that I mentioned. That's something that just we put on for decorative.
Okay.
But I'll tell you the story if you want. This is what I said, the either winterizing port or the boondocking port. So if I have my 5-gallon container of water, I have a small hose that I put into there. I change the pumps, I turn on the water pump, and then water flows into the tanks.
Okay.
The other 2 water inlets are over here. One there and one there. One is for city water, which is where if you're hooked up to a water supply at the campground, and then the fresh water if you're hooking up to hose to fill the tank. So they go to different destinations.
Okay.
One of the other things where they've done, now this is one of the options, is the bike rack, and I think the current one is slightly different.
How does that work?
This is a 2-inch receiver, and the current one I think is an 1.25 inch receiver. There's a lot of discussion on the bike racks on the forum. So they put these 2 bolt things to hold this thing in place, and then these clevis bolts hold this thing in there.
Does it slide out?
If we take these out, yes, it'll slide up.
And then you can put a bike on there?
No, I put the bike rack in right there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But my point is, the current one is a smaller cross-sectional area. So these are usually called receivers for a hitch.
Yeah.
That's a 2-inch receiver, and the current ones I think are 1.5 inch receivers.
Okay.
The thing where they are very unusual compared to other trailers is they've engineered this back bumper, which has these little pins, 2 of them to hold it in place. And in here is where you keep your black tank hoses or other kinds of hoses. I keep my black tank flush hose in there, as opposed to having it somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
So that is really a unique design feature for this trailer.
Okay.
And it's like a lot of other stuff, and it's engineered well, and it's constructed. I guess the other thing is the Oliver people stand by their product
What's the warranty?
incredibly well.
Do you know what the warranty is?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What's the warranty?
They say I think everything is for a year, but I've had stuff that's been more than a year, and they've dealt with it just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of the manufacturer stuff is more. Here's that emergency exit that I mentioned. Climb out. This is the basement, as it's called, and there is a light switch in here. Most people seem to store stuff in here with what are called milk crates. You can see one milk crate there, the blue one.
Yes.
And I did that initially, and the crates were small enough it was hard to get the hoses tightly wrapped enough. And then I discovered these at Costco or someplace. They're not expensive, but it fits into this opening perfectly. And most of the stuff that I use every time fits into the one thing. So I've got extra stuff in there, like leveling plates and some less used hose kind of stuff further back. And then I've got that area with the shoes that we got from the under nightstand area.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop recording unless you feel like there's more.
Well, a few more things. It's up to you about the recording.
No, if you feel
Here
like
is the outside shower.
Okay.
So this thing comes out, and there's hot and cold water.
Good.
When we were looking at one of the models I mentioned, the fiberglass Escape, everything was an option. Television was an option. We weren't going to get an option. Get that. The outdoor shower. So what do you need an outdoor shower? People said it's great for washing the dogs. Or some people hook it up to a shower contraption. I use this a lot for washing dishes. Depending upon where we're camped. But if it's a place where you can dump the dishwater, then I set up a couple little tables here. I wash it and rinse it here, and then take the water to wherever is the right place to dump. And it doesn't use up, it doesn't go into the gray tank. And this thing has a very slow flow, so I end up using less of my fresh water.
Okay.
So I like that a lot. These are the two valves you pull when you're draining the tank. The tanks are actually further upstream, and they're low to the ground, all the three tanks, the fresh, the gray and the black. And that's better for having lower center of gravity because that weighs a lot. They also have the batteries right down here low on top of the axles,
Okay.
which is a good place to do that. Then, if you have electrical power, this is for 30 amp hookup. And this is really a high quality marine grades, like from sailboats. And like a lot of
Oh yeah,
they
marine
have,
grade. Yeah.
they're, I find them to be extremely well done. One other water inlet is here, and that's called the black tank flush. So what you're supposed to do with a black tank is every other time you drain it, you should flush the inside. And I've been at a dump station, and I see people taking a hose in through the door, passing it through the window, so that they can put water into the tank to flush. What this does, you hook a hose, and you want a dedicated hose just for